So yeah, when you go back to the West and you see this, it's very painful. And when you come back here and you know it's still there, it's very painful. And when you know that many of those persons are only doing that because the ideologies they've been fed were designed with the purpose of eroding morality, the family unit, Christian morality and principles, not necessarily the worship of Jesus, but just living a good, righteous life, was designed in the University of Frankfurt for its beginnings, and then expanded beyond there with many wicked yet seemingly intelligent and great minds. Then you feel a duty to speak on it.
Stand strong, keep the fire burning. Stick together, gotta keep the wheels turning. Forcing companies to stand aside, forcing government to recognize the power of this tribe. Stand strong, keep the fire burning.
Hey guys, so a few days ago I wrote a Facebook post, and in that post I was quite harsh with the words I chose to use whilst speaking, directing my frustrations towards my generation in the West and the younger generations in the West as well. And I want to say that when I speak like this, it's almost as if I am speaking to my younger self, because I wish for nothing more than the man I am today could jump in a time machine, go back and speak to I whilst I was powerless and whilst I was completely submitted to the will of others and the wants of others I didn't even know existed, in the physical realm and of the spiritual realm. And the thing is, when you live a life like I live, when you have people dying in your arms, when you have children dying in your arms, when you know beautiful children who are so sweet and innocent, who have been habitually abused and raped on the streets by gangs of heroin addicts, when you know children who were unjustly suffering, tied up in sheds with animals for 10 years of their life, when you have people in your care who meow like a cat because they were so neglected by humanity that they had nothing but a cat for company, so that's how they learned to talk. When you have the faces of hundreds of children burned into your subconscious and your conscious, who labour to eat, who curl up at night on a concrete floor and go to sleep, whose parents have abandoned them because they were broken after living broken childhoods. When you know elderly in the same position, elderly in their 70s forced to labour, hard labour, the same labour that Nelson Mandela did as a punishment at Roan Island. And this labour can range from 7 years old up to the oldest I've seen is 78 years old. Like this, like a black and white prison movie, watching people break rocks, just so you can eat meagre meals of flour and water, locally named ugali, maize flour and water. When you see all of that, especially when it's children, there's something about it when it's children, and you go back to the West, the place that you've called home, the place where a part of you feels you belong to, where part of you is proud to be from there, and you see a potential army of persons with education, of persons with resources, of persons with good hearts, and They are indulging in nothing but material pleasures, wasting resources on stimulus of the five senses, be it drugs, alcohol, sex, clubbing, fast cars, fashion. Then you get a really deep pain in you, where you say, wow, I wish I could show you that for the cost of your night out, you can provide an income for starving children so they don't have to labour and they can go to school. You know, if the UK went teetotal for 3 years, and if you include the hospital bills that alcohol-related incidents equate to every year, the money spent on alcohol by that tiny percentage of the world's population in one country, teetotal for 3 years, would end world hunger. And when you go back to that system, it's so frustrating, and it kills you guys. It hurts to see it. And you feel this sense of empathy because you've been there, but you feel this sense of shame that you've belonged to it, and you feel this yearning to wake people up that they currently belong to it, and what they can achieve if they can separate themselves from it. And you feel this pain that people are so disconnected, that this is where they find their joy, in the things that have been deemed as debaucherous by every spiritual teacher on the planet. And you end up praying. As well as praying for these children, you pray for those children. For we're all children of God. And you pray they are liberated from what they are caught inside, just as I had to be liberated from it as well. But you also pray that they're not just liberated, but that God can liberate them so as they can do the things that many people on the planet can't. I came here with a laptop and a little bit of savings, but I knew my way around the internet, and I had basic knowledge of certain things. And I had a lot of faith. I was very certain I was in a privileged position where I got to the point I didn't believe God had brought me here. I knew. And it's not just me, it's God, it's you guys out there reaching out and sharing, and it's the knowledge I acquired within that system as well that did this. But because I got on the plane, all of these children have support. Imagine if you could go to a club and do the same, and you could take every single person from a nightclub and they could come and have the same impact. And that's what I see. I believe in those people. I believe in them, and I see that they can do it. And I just want them to wake up to it. And it's not as if we've chosen to live that way. And I speak on things like Fabian socialism and cultural Marxism and Luciferianism. But it's a part of our culture. It was designed through critical theory, through organizations like Fabian socialism, through people wishing to do the long march, as Marxist communists called it, which is to erode the moral belief system of society and make us think that that was a natural progression. It wasn't. It was designed. We were designed to step away from Christian morality. Even if you want to be Christian or not, you can still have Christian morals as an atheist. It just means you're not indulging in the immoral. You're not indulging in material pleasures. You're not running around sleeping with anybody. You're not seeing that as normal, as something to aim for. But it was designed with things like critical theory. It was designed with things like the sexual revolution. It was designed initially by persons who were operating under Leninist communism. It's been designed by the elitists who want to control you, because in having us very materially focused, they reap the fruits of that, the benefits of their elevated status of power and wealth and ability to manifest their desires from everything from controlling other countries to expanding their empires of wealth and raping the planet of its raw materials. And this was all designed. And we can see it, many of us. And you can study it and you can see it too. You can see that head things like Fabian socialism, they say they have good principles in place. Now, don't get me wrong. When socialism is touted as everyone gets free education, and when you live in a place where children are labouring, this sounds wonderful. It truly does. Of course I want all children to have free education. Of course I want equality. Of course I don't want to see this suffering. That's why I'm here day in, day out trying to fix it. But when you embody Luciferian doctrine, such as the ends justify the means, a Fabian socialist principle, the ends justify the means that while you're in that position of start to ends, whatever the means are, doesn't matter. What are the outcomes of people suffering doesn't matter. But it does matter. It does matter because that's the society we live in now, where people are struggling, where people are hungry, people are homeless, children are labouring, children are starving, children are dying. Those who have the power to do something about it, the power to change their own communities, the power to change their own society, their countries, the world, are all sedated by entertainment, mindless distractions, and stimuluses and downers such as alcohol and heavily processed foods. They are not educated. They are not free. And then they are fed this idea of cultural Marxism, that all of these things that they do equate to freedom. And truly the only freedom you find is in discipline. The freedom you find is in looking at yourself and saying, is this the sort of man I want to describe myself as to my child? Do I want to say to my child, yes, be proud of me, because I've been to this island, got drunk and slept with this many girls? Of course not, you won't even tell your children that. Wouldn't you rather say, yeah, I was an activist, I tried to get some change for this planet, and you should try too. You should be an activist against injustice in every form. You should intend to be your highest good at every turn. You should intend to participate in democracy and understand what that means beyond just voting. You should intend to know ultimate truth. And you should intend to realize when negative truths of certain belief systems like Luciferianism is being used to hook you and snare you into a world which is material, which has always been said to be the domain of the negative light, the negative energy. That which modern society calls Satan or Lucifer. So yeah, when you go back to the West and you see this, it's very painful. And when you come back here and you know it's still there, it's very painful. And when you know that many of those persons are only doing that because the ideologies they've been fed were designed with the purpose of eroding morality, the family unit, Christian morality and principles, not necessarily the worship of Jesus, but just living a good, righteous life, was designed in the University of Frankfurt for its beginnings and then expanded beyond there with many wicked, yet seemingly intelligent and great minds, then you feel a duty to speak on it. And you also feel a duty to understand it as best you can. So, my answer to it all lay in discipline. A disciplined youth who have a new sense of morality. A disciplined youth who understand that what they've been sold was designed to be sold to them to attack their family unit, to bring about a regime that they never asked for and didn't even know about. A disciplined youth who can make full use and maximize the potential of the body that they embody. A disciplined youth who can create and manifest, who can, when they think of change, think beyond the ballot box and think of new, original ideas on how to create that change, how to create that equality, how to create the justice that we all yearn for in our hearts. A youth who are liberated from the false cultural Marxism that they are all marching through and into without even realizing it's what they're doing. And as soon as you become aware of these things and you look to society and you look to the way that our society is going and how the majority of many age groups at this point are embodying ideologies that were physically designed, are following movements that were physically designed to give birth to the erosion of the family unit, the erosion of industrialized nations, in doing so because that is the foundation of the industrialized capitalist nation. And with it, the erosion of any spiritual belief. And along with it, it would seem, sadly, seemingly the morals that go with that. Then I believe they would get just as angry as I get about it, and just as frustrated as I get about it, and they would rebel against the true enemy. But at present, their rebellion is straight into the arms of the enemy because they've created that rebellion within them. Using slow, submersive tactics of cultural Marxism, slow attack on the culture, the mindset, the psychology, the spirituality of our society. Slowly plodding away and achieving their end goal of introducing a planet they want to introduce. And they might believe that they're doing it for the betterment of humanity. But when the means are harming innocent people, how can the ends justify the means? Because we are in that state of means at the moment, and people are being hurt by it. It's not right. In an open, honest, diplomatic society, we should be able to present our ideas, and we should be able to move forward together to get them. We shouldn't need to be coerced like ignorant livestock in a field. Not that I'm saying livestock are ignorant, because actually if you stare into the animal size, they are far from it. But coerced as if we are nothing but something that is owned and dopey and requires this sort of stimulus to get them to follow the minds beyond us, if you will, the minds above the working class who know what's best for them. This is not right, guys. And it burns in you when you know it. And I just hope that some people will wake up to it and it will burn in them, and they too in doing that, will want to rebel against that which was designed to ensnare them in this cultural Marxist principle of destroying that which is moral and good and true of human nature, such as the family unit. And they will rebel against it by becoming disciplined, by becoming humble, and by becoming morally upright people who can study, who can build, who can create, and who can truly educate and influence the future of our society away from the grip of these well-organized, elitist agendas and their horrendous religious, Gnostic, Luciferian belief system, tactics and tools that they are using against your children and you today. God bless.